he's done his cap differently. There he goes.
I'm just letting you know it's not the same episode as what we've just been filming before. Can you notice the difference?
Jesus Christ.
How are you, mate? You alright?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm alright.
You've just come back from your Harley Bobs.
I have indeed. So have you, though.
I
How's
have.
your break?
We've both been away for the old Easter. We've had to cancel a couple of podcasts, so apologies for that to the two people who have been missing it, and to everybody else that just listen to it when they can.
We should just upload like every month now, just once a month. Yeah,
just listen when you can. Self-deprecating episode this is going to be, isn't it? But yeah, no, great holiday. I went to Amsterdam. You went to Lincoln.
Nice. I did indeed. Not Amsterdam, not quite Amsterdam, but
no. I think this is the first time in my life. Yeah, because first time in my life that I've been abroad, and it is the same weather that we've had here.
Yeah.
Because even the first time I went to Amsterdam, we went in September, so it's still pretty warm. So even though it probably was the same temperature here, it was still a warm, hot holiday. Whereas this is the first one where I've gone, it's quite chilly. I could literally just be anywhere. I mean, it was great. It was awesome. I had a lovely time. Lots of drinks, lots of stuff. But I am well in the mood. Like, you just know when. Like, that's the first flight that I've had in 8 years now, maybe. No, less, 6 to 8 years. A long time. And you know when you get there and that door of the aeroplane opens and you just get the heat and you're like, I'm on holiday.
I'm on holiday, yeah.
Get me the pints. I'm ready to go. Whereas we got there, opened the door, went, I'm gonna need a coat actually. Like, oh God, it's a little bit cold, isn't it? Okay.
It's a little bit romantic. Yeah. No. Well, did it rain? Did it rain where you were?
Yeah, it did. First night, absolutely hammered it now. When it was honestly, it was it was pretty apocalyptic actually first night. Wow. But it was gorgeous. It was lovely holiday to Amsterdam. Great time. Good vibes.
Like we needed the break. We've both been very busy boys, haven't we? Not just with this, but in other things that we've been doing. It did feel like we needed that little circuit breaker. But yeah, thank you to dear listeners for being very patient.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure you missed us lots and lots. Thanks, Lee.
Thanks, Lee. Yeah, thanks, Lee, mate. Appreciate it. But we're carrying on with the old Phase 5. We've kicked that off a few weeks ago. This time round, my dear friends, I know, we've got to do it. We've got to do it. Okay, same way that we had to do Eternals, the same way we had to do She-Hulk. We've got to. All right, so we're doing episode 1 to episode 3. Join us in the slog that is Secret Invasion.
We go, and we're back to Secret Invasion. I have a wild feeling I already had notes for episode 1, so I can't remember when we covered episode 1 or if we even did, but
did we?
I think somewhere across the line we must have done, because I wouldn't have written down unless I just fancied writing down notes the first time I watched it. Maybe.
That's really strange. I mean, I'm surprised that I can't remember talking about it on the podcast before, but maybe we did. We have mentioned it a few times, but I mean, the fact that we're having to talk about it makes me, I don't know. I said to Forrest, I was like, I talk about the one that we know from a break we're coming back to, and we're like, yeah, we're gonna do Secret Invasion. Like, oh Jesus.
Oh, no.
Let's go straight in, okay? Given our overall views on the current situation that is Secret Invasion. Now, when I say current, it's because a lot of people in the MCU, a lot of the fandom, don't immediately watch it from the offset. Some people kind of watching it in real time. There might be a dear listener right now listening who has watched it for the first time very, very recently. And opinions, so for instance, like things like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, opinions are changing, saying it's better than it was or better than people think it was. And things like that are happening with other TV shows. There was one that turned up on our Instagram posts yesterday that I was like, are really people saying that that's good now? I think one of them was the Marvels as well through time. I think not a lot of time, but since its release, people were kind of going, hey, it's not as bad as you think. This is still bad. This is still bad.
Also, I think, are people only saying that because every time we're saying something's bad, something worse comes along?
Maybe. Genuinely, maybe.
So, we had She-Hulk and people were like, this is awful. Then we had Secret Invasion and people were like, oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. Could it get any worse? And then we had the Marvels.
So this is kind of middle ground rating. 5.9 out of 10 on the IMDb, 52 on the tomato meter. That's still I'd say that's too high.
Yeah, it depends what episode you're talking about. I think it starts off strong. I'll still say I enjoy episode 1.
I thought this too, mate. I thought, well, at least we're talking about episode 1. We're starting strong. I watched it and I was like, this is bollocks. This doesn't actually feel as strong as it was. Overall views. Okay, starters. It feels like this has been put together by a skeleton team post-COVID, unavoidable. It felt like it was rushed, underutilized, under-realized characters, and just I will use the word AI as well in terms of those credits. It was created by an AI team, and it felt like the script was built by AI at times. I hope that's not the case, but there were certain moments where I was like, okay, that doesn't work. If we'll talk about it later, but there were certain moments for me in scenes where the script just didn't flow at all. There was no human realizations or any kind of furthered character development at all. I want to like it because it's espionage. It's not a detective, but we were sold during the trailers that we were going to get a dark, gritty Nick Fury, and I think we only get that in the color palette of this show. Everything else kind of misfires.
Yes. Yeah, I think there are... It's just conversation after conversation between two people. And I think, like you say, I wonder how much of that is COVID. And in which case, if that is the case, then why bother making a series that's like... Because this is such a you got macro and micro, right? Micro issues that are like macro, massive issues. So this whole thing is about the kind of world, is about an invasion of Skrulls, is about Earth having war with itself, like countries warring with other countries, and yet so much of this series is based on two people, like different two people, like mostly Nick Fury and Talos, but you've got people just having one-on-one conversations, and I'm like, well, hang on a minute, you're talking about such massive issues, and yet most of this program are just conversation, next conversation. I'm like, this isn't massive scale enough. No. So if you can't do that because of COVID or budget or whatever the reason might be that they've given to it, then don't do it. Don't try and do a show that tackles huge overarching issues and huge overarching issues which should have massive ramifications for the rest of the MCU, because it basically puts into question almost any character could be a Skrull. Right?
Yeah.
And yet we don't get any of that because we can't get any of that because of whatever reason that they've got for not doing that. So all we've got is a bunch of one-to-one conversations that occur in different places. Like they have a chat on the train for a long time, they have a chat in a bar, a pub for a long time, which has only 4 other people in it. Like, it is mad. It's a mad show.
So we kick off with what I can only describe the conspiracy theorist that's in this show. Who I think he's been in a few things as well, that actor, but I can't off the top of my head. And I'm not going to research it because I can't bother right now. It's not the point. I want to. That moment starts off fair, like you say. It does start off fairly strong. It gives you a level of intrigue, and also with Ross being in it and immediately going in again, familiar face, familiar character, off of the back of Wakanda Forever. And then immediately did you kind of immediately know that was a scroll?
Yeah.
Because you could kind of feel it in the moment, and I don't know whether that's a performance thing from Martin.
I do think that's actually a benefit to Martin's performance, because he does play it quite differently to what his actual character would play it.
Because it felt like it was like that doesn't feel like it's him. Yeah. And it was very subtle, so I think on a performance standpoint, definitely a plus there. It got me, in the meme in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia with Charlie doing the conspiracy theorists.
Yeah,
he literally does the arms.
Yeah,
I don't know if you notice, he turns back from the board, and literally holds his arm like this, and he's like doing the image. And I'm like, I feel like that's deliberate. I feel like that's a little Easter egg in there.
Yeah.
But we have the chase scene. Maria Hill gets called up as well. It's good to see Maria Hill back. We'll talk about her later. And it's just, it starts off with a level of intrigue, and obviously then Ross gets revealed as that is Skrull Ross, and then boom, that's it. All right,
we're
raping him.
So we're into the Skrulls are using terrorist attacks to cause anarchy worldwide. We've got Furies on Saber hasn't been seen. Basically post blip.
So as far as I'm aware, and I think I'm correct in this, is that Fury has been on the I think it's called the Saber ship, for about 2 years post Endgame. So he returns post those 2 years, and so between those 2 years we have had a Skrull. As we all know, a Skrull Nick Fury, which was obviously in Spider-Man 2.
Yes.
Were they in anything else? Was a Skrull Nick Fury in anything else? I don't know. I don't think so.
Not sure, mate. Was that your throat, by the way?
Yeah, my throat like that. Yeah.
Because I thought it was mine, but I didn't feel it. So I was like, oh my god!
Oh my god!
I just made that noise, but I didn't even feel it. I was like, what the? Yeah, cool.
I was really hoping I wasn't turning up, but
sorry about that, man.
Totally heard that. All right,
I made a massissive 30-second dilemma out of it as well. So yes, we get introduced to the rebel leader, which is Gravik. New Skrullus, home for Skrulls in Moscow. And then we get Emilia Clarke. We get lots of new characters. We get Emilia Clarke as Gaia. Lots of different stuff goes on, basically. We are...
So, okay, let's talk about Moscow.
Let's talk about
Skrulls. So, the premise is the fact that the promise was on the basis that, obviously, we know the history of the Skrulls. They lost their planet. Nick Fury, Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel said, look, come live here. Come here. We'll bring you to Earth, and we will find you a new planet. On the promise of that.
It's a very good Samuel L. Jackson impression there.
I thought it was pretty accurate.
Thank
you. Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you. Oh. And then obviously time has gone past. They've been cohabiting. They've been obviously shape-shifting as humans to coexist with us. And Talos has been sort of the leader of that. The context to this as well is that Gravik was a kid with then no parents. I think he lost his parents in the midst of the battles. And Nick Fury's wife, Skrull wife, that gets revealed later, brought Gravik in. Now, no, back into real time, back into present day. They've got no planet. They've still got no planet. They've still got no home. People are asking questions. An uprising and a rebel alliance is happening. Great, understand that. I think and again, I think kind of a pitfall, and I think the main intention of the show was to kind of like hold it accountable and reflective of what it is like for refugees that get then taken away from their homes and other countries saying, we'll sort you out, don't worry, we'll find you, just settle here for a bit, and then actually don't do it. That's very much reflective on human history, and I kind of feel like that's what it was trying to perpetuate to us. However, it doesn't come across very well, and I think there was probably a more sensitive way of doing it, and it just gets lost in the shuffle. Now they find their own little home in Moscow, and which is actually a radiation zone. So they're obviously, humans can't inhabit radiation zones. It looks like to me, and it's never confirmed, but it looks like it's Chernobyl or Chernobyl. In terms of, it is a nuclear station that they're kind of effectively housing themselves in, and they're living there. Now, I think that's interesting. I found that immediately kind of like, so are they, because there's not just one in Moscow, there's some of those all over the country, in that country, but also in the globe.
Yeah.
How, I would have liked to have seen more of us seeing the Skrull life living, trying to cohabit with us, having their own section, learning about the place more than then understanding about the Rebel Alliance. And the other thing is that Gravik, as much as he is the rebel leader, comes across as nothing but a 2D dimensional villain.
Yeah.
But underneath it, you know that there's character development there. There's real trauma that he's feeling. There's genuine things that he wants to choose and improve. He just doesn't go the right way about it. But I think we could have learned a little bit more about the reason why we've got this uprising happening before then just being basically forced on this, let's say, Americanized vibe, and that kind of, and Rhodes does it as well. I mean, I know it's Skrull Rhodes, but there's a moment, I'm jumping ahead here, but like there is a moment, I think it might be in the second episode, where he's trying to defend what happens at the end of episode 1, and it kind of feels, it's so, I don't know what the word is, institutionalized.
Yeah.
The responses is very institutionalized. It's kind of like, well, look, so that's happened. Okay, cool. So now we're gonna now chip in. We're gonna react to it. And again, it's very much reflective of what's historically been the case with us in the human race. But I think that's one example for me in terms of, we could have had an opportunity there, and they just skipped past it. They skipped past it.
Skip past it, and instead we get a very quickly timed introduction to all of these shenanigans that are going on, and we basically, towards the end of episode 1, Talos is informed by his daughter Gaia that during Unity Day a bomb will go off. And basically Gravik knows that Talos will be there, and it's just a way to bring all of those characters together for the Unity Day scenes. Now this, I remember when I watched it the first time, and again this time, so it's probably my favourite bit of any of the series was this Unity Day, and the way that they showed the kind of chase between all of these characters, and you get a real sense of threat through those scenes, and you're not quite sure what's going to happen, which is never really replicated again during the rest of the series. So they bunged all of these lovely moments in episode 1, and we never really get anything that's got this sense of jeopardy ever again. And this scene is kind of quite a graphic scene, I think, and and basically Gravik takes on Nick Fury's face, and Maria Hill is killed basically at the end of this episode.
And this is the thing. So Maria Hill getting killed should have been a big deal. Should have been a big deal, and it should have caught a big reaction from the fan base. Again, Maria Hill is an OG character. That's somebody that's been as a character around since day dot of Avengers, and then all of a sudden in episode 1, you can kind of sense it. That you can sense that her demise was coming in the episode, and it felt like they were putting in those little Easter eggs as well. And then when it happened, you're like, you made me not care about it enough, and it didn't feel like it. I don't feel like she should have gone out that way as well. Like it felt like they just kind of pawned her off to a death to then serve somebody else's character development. You should have led up to that. I think a little bit more.
Yeah, and I think just episode 1, I was quite impressed by it. But I think when you then find out by the end of the series that she never comes back, it wasn't like a scroll version of Maria that Gravik was kind of using to threaten Nick without actually killing any of them. So they could have used it in a multitude of ways, but actually no, it was just, we're going to kill off this character at the end of episode 1. You're never going to see her again, and it's never going to really be referenced again. And it was just such a waste of a killing of a character. It was just like, well, okay. And like, it felt like there needed to be much more there, and there never is. It's not like, yeah, okay, we get a scene where Fury, gets confronted by her mum at the funeral.
Yeah, episode 2 now, yeah.
It lasts like 10 seconds in episode 2, and then that's it.
She blames him for it, and then that's it. And then Nick Fury. So we're moving on. So episode 2, and then she blames him for it and stuff, and then he goes to that train scene with Talos, and he kind of reveals his hurt and anguish around it, but then it kind of gets done by that bit. Then nothing gets followed up. It's not revenge story. It's not I must avenge Maria Hill, I must do this for her. He kind of just lets go and just sort of goes, oh, it's a shame. Effectively, it's a shame, isn't it? Yeah, no, she's a really good friend of mine. Oh, I should have done better. Anyway, let's talk about this. And it moves on. I mean, in kind of non terms like that. But like, I kind of liked that train scene a little bit, just because I felt like Talos very much was leading the charge. And again, what I liked about Talos is that I think he was one of the stronger characters in the show. And he is the human Skrull. Do you know what I mean? Like, he adopts a very human, empathetic, compassionate view towards being diplomatic before choosing violence. And I think that's what he was. He was just trying to say, look, you promised us this. You haven't delivered. What are you going to do? You've got to sort us out. You owe us. And that kind of comes through in the train scene. He kind of gets a bit angry. He gets a bit annoyed at Nick Fury. And Nick Fury then, explains the fact that Talos in that moment was saying, like, look, I'm hoping, or at least I was hoping that the human race would embrace the Skrulls and would all cohabit as a universe, or as a globe. And he's what I love, actually, I liked, didn't love it, I liked, was when he used the parallels against the fact that human race had been fighting with each other since the moment they could stand up or something. And I was like, that's so true. Like, how could we embrace an outer-worldly presence to then cohabit with us when we are just as a human race fighting ourselves anyway? And I thought, actually, that's quite a good bit of writing. That was quite resonant. But like, the other thing, when that train bit was happening, I was thinking, you are on a public train. If you're having a shouting argument like that, fucking Doris behind you, mate, Nick Fury's going, knitting a little stuff. Oh, what's going on over here? Oh, Nick, what are you talking about? Oh, bloody hell.
But
sorry.
all of those all of those train scenes, though, in order to combat that, they've all got this like Harry Potter style train that
what is that?
I don't think I've ever been on, right? Which is what I mean by that is all the separate booths. You don't have that, mate. You not like? Oh my god! I don't think I've ever seen a train like that. You've only ever seen public like trains where you've got numerous like sitting stalls like in a large carriage. You haven't got like I'll pop off to my private booth like. Just have a conversation in private booth.
Private booth. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, bizarre. I suppose first class do, but you're still joined by other people, right?
I wouldn't know, mate. I never take first class.
No, but you see first class, don't you? You've seen it with your eyes.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's.
You sat
No,
there,
I avert my eyes, don't you? Oh, first class, don't look.
No. What I do, Matt, is I go up to the screen and just stare at them. I just go right. It's like eggy bread. I'll just have a sandwich. I'm like,
Look at you on
you
your
have a
first
lovely
class.
time, are you? Have a lovely time.
You're fun. You're having a good time in first class, aren't you? I'm pressed up against a busier carriage here, and you're having a great time sat there charging your phone. Having a bit of Prosecco, are you? Anyway, we go off for one.
So yeah, that happens.
Nick Fury has a wife, though. We find out in episode 2.
Nick Fury has a wife. He does have a wife. He does have a wife who is a Skrull.
Ooh, yes.
Which again, I had the opportunity to be an amazing plot, an amazing storyline, but no, it was just purely gimmick, basically.
Gimmick, that's the word.
It was purely a gimmicky. It was purely a gimmick. We'll make her a Skrull. It'll be fantastic to watch. The opportunities are endless, but we're not going to choose any opportunity from this. We're going to purely have it as a could have made a difference to this plot, but actually,
We were met with a few flashback scenes in episode 2. It starts off with it as well, but there was one in particular where younger Nick Fury is then met with younger Gravik and obviously Skrull wife, who brings Gravik into the fold. It suggests to me there that they had a kind of parental kind of role to it. And again, this doesn't get really further. No, it doesn't get explored at all. Actually, Gravik and Skrull, I'm going to say Nick Fury's wife, Skrull, potentially was the motherly figure for him in his upbringing, and there's threads in there from a character standpoint that you can really lean into. And again, a lot of what of that happened in terms of their reveal with those kind of moments were just line deliveries, just a line, a quip, a gimmick that was just used to serve something else. You could have played something a little bit more in depth there, where it was, Nick Fury could have been a little bit more undecided on what he should have done, conflicted with Gravik, not knowing how to deal with Gravik. None of that really got paid off, in the series. But
one of the main plot points for episode 2 is that we find out that quite some high up political figures are currently being extracted in a laboratory in Skrullos, where so basically Gravik has made Skrull versions of this kind of council members, so that Gravik has social standing in regards to being able to be the kind of puppeteer for what's going on in different countries, and trying to. The whole premise of what Gravik's trying to do is cause a friction between countries, and is trying to create terrorist attacks across the globe that the Skrulls can then capitalise on. And we begin to see this council that Gravik attends, and at first we're led to believe they're just regular humans, but again they're Skrulls, and again, this is all just quite gimmicky. It's just a means to an end. Basically, it's like, oh look, like Gravik's got this so that he might be able to do this, but he doesn't end up doing any of this. But yeah.
It's literally no bite in it at all. But moving on to episode 3, we kind of learn about Gravik's plans of the Super Scroll. There's a scene where we can see that there's lots of plans within the nuclear base, which again looks like the experiments are taking place in the control room of a nuclear bunker. But you can see on the screen that we've got Frost Beast from Thor that's being harvested. We've got Groot's abilities being harvested. You've got Obsidian being harvested. You've got Extremis as well, which actually features back into the show. So Extremis obviously being in Iron Man 3. So that's quite a callback in actually when you think about it. It's so clearly there's this the view of becoming a Super Skrull. Now again, that's coming from source material as well. It just I mean, that sets up something I think could be quite exciting. However, we all know what the payoff is, and we'll get to that next week, and talk about that for next week. But like, it sets up quite an interesting take. If I'm forgetting about what happens later, which is really difficult for me, when you look at it. You go, oh, okay, cool. So there's a bigger plan for him to set himself up as a bigger villain, a bigger. You can see, mate. This happens with so many other characters, right? So this is the thing. When people talk about MCU being formulaic, you've got one guy who's going, I've been hardened. I've got a hard time. I'm going to go and get all of this stuff and use this ability and inject it to myself, and I'm going to become a supervillain. That sounds familiar, right? We had that with Extremis. We had that with in She-Hulk. We've had it countless times in the MCU. So all I would say, fine, that's interesting because it's different. It's multiple, things, multiple abilities that are going into one. That's the unique selling point I would say around it. But it just doesn't get paid off, and there is no, and it's so flipping formulaic. It's so 2D. The problem is that I feel like the actor, who's the actor that plays Gravik?
Who plays Gravik? The actor who plays Gravik is Kingsley Ben-Adir.
Kingsley, right? Flipping brilliant actor. Okay, recently just played Bob Marley, right, in the biopic. Really great actor. Again, you can see that these actors, and Emilia Clarke's the same. Emilia Clarke's a titan, let's say, in the Hollywood right now. You can see that they're trying to do something with the role, but they are giving very much 2D choices.
Yeah.
In their means, and I would only combat that with what's great and we haven't mentioned her yet. The breath of fresh air, and she always is Olivia Colman, who came in obviously in I think it was episode 2, but like she comes in with her quips, with her charm, as like
Sonya,
yeah, as a, I don't know, it's just like I can't not see her as the Queen because she played in the Queen in the Crown, but like it's like this Queen like badass Bond type in a way. But it works, and she's thrilling, she's intimidating, funny, and every bit that she makes in hers is quintessentially her. Do you know what I mean? She gives off something. We'll talk about. We just recorded an interview, and we were talking about with one of our interviewers about the actors, about kind of giving that piece of you, right, and putting that into a character. That is what Olivia Colman does.
She's
you
got
always
quite
see pieces of her.
See pieces of her, yeah.
Weird,
all right, man. We get your premise. She in the kind of couple of scenes where Sonya chops off Wallace's finger at one point to find out if Wallace is a Skrull, right? And it kind of gave me a bit of a vibe that Sonya's quite like Villanelle from Killing Eve.
Yes,
like it's got a bit of that kind of like changeable, like, oh yeah, totally fine, like she's a bit of a chat, and then boom, she'll just cut your finger off and run away from the scene of the crime. I really like the character of Sonic, but again, not really fully explored in this series. There's again, like, you know, as we'll get to next week, completely like basically like she's used very little as the episodes go on. That's it.
Yeah, I mean,
she's not used enough.
No. We get a little bit more character development with Nick Fury's wife, which is then revealed that she is working for Gravik. She takes that phone call, doesn't she, and then grabs the gun, and Vera calls... It's Vara. Vara calls Gravik, and is... Yeah, I mean, you have that moment there, but we get a little bit more with Rhodey as well. With Rhodes, it kind of... I mean, this is the thing. At the end of this episode, it hints again that he's a Skrull. You know he's a Skrull. The moment he's in the scene for the very first time, having that conversation with Nick Fury and being a bit of a bitch, you know that's not our Rhodes. That is not our Rhodey. We know that. Again, felt very like, oh, by the way, oh, did you notice that? Oh, he might be a Skrull. Oh, did you? Oh, it's like, yeah, no, we know that. The audience is a little bit more intelligent. And again, the people that are watching this are the people I wouldn't think, and dear listener, I mean, I'm pretty sure you're with me on this, but I wouldn't think that somebody who's never watched the MCU watches a teaser trailer for Secret Invasion and goes, oh my God, what's this called? Is this this is the MCU. What's it called? Secret Invasion. Oh, do you know what? I'll give it a go. Do you know
what, Matt? I was going to watch another episode of Married at First Sight, but tonight I really fancy, just after we've watched Gladiators, the new series, yeah, let's watch a bit of Secret Invasion. Yeah, I've got no interest in comic book characters, but this is a bit of me. I love it. It's got Moscow Met. It's got Russia in it. It's got politics. I love it.
Sandra from Western Supermare's just going to give it a go. Go on.
It's got Olivia Colman. She's Queen again.
Oh, I like her.
Oh, she is lovely.
Yeah, I like her.
We love the Queen. Not the Queen.
Yeah.
We love, what's it called? The Crown. We love the Crown, don't we?
Yeah, no, she's
That's
very good. She's Oscar winning, do you know?
She is.
Oh, here we go again. Just the voices. They always come back. But literally, right? Like no one's going to be watching this who hasn't watched something else from the MCU. So don't try and tease that out. That's the unnecessary bit that you have in your scripts. That's the unnecessary bit you have in your screen time. Use that as an opportunity. The other thing that irked me, which we haven't mentioned, is Gaia's willingness to still work with Gravik. Even at the point of I think it was in episode 1, it was the end of episode 1, when Talos goes, yeah, by the way, Gravik killed your mum. And she goes, oh, okay, well, I'll still work for him. Be a little bit suspicious, but I'll go along with it. I'll go along with it. You know? Gravik's getting her to do, some stuff, and she's like, yeah, all right, I'll go and do that, and go talk to the scroll painter and deliver all that money and all that kind of stuff, and he gets shot, and she gets in deep with the fishes, effectively. It's like, truthfully, the reaction that the character, I'm not saying it's a performance thing, I'm not saying it's Emilia Clarke that gave a bad performance here, I'm not interested in talking about that. It's the character in the script from my standpoint. It's that moment when Talos goes, your mum killed Gravik. That is a reveal that should have happened later. Why the hell did it happen this early on in the episodes? It could have happened around at this point, end of episode 3. She's working with Gravik, she's doing all the bidding, and then he goes in the last kind of bit, just so you know, this happened. and then she uses that as a little bit of a whistleblowing opportunity, and then she gets caught out, and that bit can get hurried up a little bit. The bit when she it ends up with the end of episode 3, she ends up getting shot, doesn't she?
Yeah.
We all think that that's it for her, but it felt like those are those moments where it's like we're following Gaia. We're quite clearly following a new character here, and we all know it's Emilia Clarke, so we all know it's going to be a big deal. But these opportunities, these threads that just don't get paid off at all.
Yeah.
When does she have a really big dramatic moment? Where is that bit of text where Emilia Clarke can really show off her ability as an actress? There isn't.
It's coming up next week with the big arm. With the big fat arm.
Are you saying that's the opportunity, mate?
That is her gorgeous moment to excel, is when the visual effects take control.
They take control. Don't worry, Amelia. We've got something cooking up for you. Yeah, so I've got this really big... I'm wondering what you're going to do. Don't worry. Yeah, we're going to get all sorts.
We are cooking... Dave is on it. He's the new apprentice. He's doing the visual effects for this film, or the TV series. Sorry, he's doing a film after this. He is on it.
He's
Honest
great.
to
He's
God,
absolutely amazing on iMovie. Honestly,
you might have seen some of his work on CBBC Newsround 15 years ago. He did a report on the sewage canal in Middlesbrough, and it was the way that he created that scene was insane. He honestly, he had a 3D pipe with sewage. It was incredible, and Dave is on it.
he's on it.
Yeah.
This is the thing, like that, but that's it. Like it. I mean, we'll talk about that next week, because that's something in its own right. But like, this is what I feel in terms of those first 3 episodes. Yes, we've got a story. Yes, we've got this kind of opportunity where we're looking at the political side of things. We've got the Skrulls that are rebelling. However, we're not getting much of a view on the why, the really understanding the we've got this again, the terrorism in TV. The way that terrorism is portrayed in TV is a very complex thing. And I think from this standpoint, you had an opportunity for us to learn a little bit more about the Skrulls. It's not like you're introducing a new alien. We know about the Skrulls. We have seen their planet get destroyed. We have seen them come to this planet. We know about Telos. We know about this. So just give us more detail. Give us the crux and the understanding of why are these rebel groups deciding to choose violence over diplomacy. Those are 2 natural things that happen that we can get to and understand as a story. It just doesn't mesh. But it happens. We get the same thing with Falcon the Winter Soldier. We've spoken about that in Falcon the Winter Soldier. It is exactly the same formula. It is exactly the same in terms of these things, these kind of unstable threats that are then coming in and then becoming a political kind of repercussion within it. None of it just kind of gets played out because they're too big. They're too big for a TV show to explain. How long are these episodes?
Too long.
Too long. Too long.
I can't remember how long.
Are they about 20? They're half an hour, aren't they?
20 minutes. No, mate. But yeah, 30, 40 minutes, I think.
30, 40 minutes. Secret
how,
Invasion. Oh my god, sorry.
How can someone find out?
Run time.
Episode 1. How long are you? Oh my god, nowhere wants to tell me how long these episodes are, mate.
35. See, this is the... It's between 35 or 58 minutes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, first episode was nearly an hour, mate.
Yeah. I don't know. It just again just feels like it was a little bit off. What I think, let's go. I'm going to go to Reddit. I'm going to Reddit.
Oh.
Can I do it? Can you let me? Am I allowed? Forrest.
Go. Do this thing.
All right, I'm going to get some reviews, okay? Or let's go into a Reddit chat. Let's do that. Is Secret Invasion worth watching? Okay, so there's a question here, and this is by Andro_Pal. 6 months ago, said, I recently watched the first 2 episodes, but did not bother to continue watching it. To be honest, I was a bit disappointed with the direction they were taking the show in, and found it a bit boring. Should I continue watching it if it gets any better? Ooh. Now, this is a flipping comment section right here. Somebody said I had a similar reaction, kept going. No, it doesn't get better. I'd argue it gets worse towards the end. And then somebody then follows with, definitely gets worse at the ending, outright stupid. Assuming the events of Secret Invasion somehow fold into upcoming shows, movies, the only reason to watch it is to get those references when they happen. I'm not particularly harsh critic of Marvel products, but I thought it was terrible. So again, this goes on. They talk about kind of the suspense of disbelief, all that kind of stuff. This is a good one. I'm in the same way for me. I didn't have to force myself to watch it, but don't get me wrong, I hated almost every second of it. I thought that the climax would make everything worth it, and it would come into some sort of cool way into a storyline to the universe. But this, for the first time, as an MCU fan, I could say this is the worst thing since Thor and the Dark World.
Ooh. So overall, people absolutely loving it.
Absolutely loving it. Super positive.
Super positive. Just like this episode has been.
I wonder what Sandra or Susan from Western Supermare thought about it.
And we'll find out next week when we bring
when she comes onto the podcast.
But yeah, no, there are thoughts for episodes 1 to 3. I've got high hopes for next. Got high hopes for next week's episode. If there was ever a chance to listen for you to if you went, do you know what? I might not listen to those episodes. I wouldn't be angry with you. Yeah, come back with Loki. Come back with Loki.
Well, this is it. Yeah, Loki's going to be big.
Loki will be big. Maybe disappear again for the Marvel. I'm nicer about the Marvels, actually.
I'm interested, genuinely interested.
You're incredibly sexist, but I like them.
Unbelievable! Scandalous!
The face on Matt there.
Slander.
The Marvels, and then we're echoing, which we both have not echoed before.
I know that. Oh, that's very exciting. I think for this, it's one of those shows we're going to have to plough through it. But dear listener, if you have listened to this whole episode, props to you. And
let us know your thoughts ready for next week.
Please. Yeah, we're doing this again. We're talking about episode 4 to 6 next week. If you have any thoughts on Secret Invasion, do send us an email on don'tbeaheropodcast@gmail.com, or just give us a message on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. We would love to read your comments out. It's really important for us as well to hear your voices. Again, if you liked it, please tell us. I want to know why. Ed, are you listening? Did you like it?
Drop us a fucking email, Ed.
Where's the email, Ed? Where's the email?
You've disappeared. So get in touch. See you soon. See you next week, mate.
See you next week, my dear friend. I love you very much.
I love you very much, my friend. Goodbye.
Bye now. Boom.